Hello, everybody, and welcome to the June 2020 What's the 2020 The 2020. Yeah, see, if we were being fancy and this was 2022, that would work. But 2020.
I like it though.
Perfect. Hello and welcome to the 2025 June edition of the Zelda Universe Podcast. I am using an outrageously, horribly fake French accent as I welcome you all to our our monthly edition of our revisits to the many people, places, events, and memories of our adventures in Hyrule. My name is Connor Schultz. I may or may not do silly voices as a hobby, and I am grateful to have all of you here with us this month. Joining me today, we have a couple of returning contributors to our podcast. Anne, we start with you.
All right, I am the Zelda Anne, or Anne for short. I've done a few of these podcasts before, and this is my second time doing this new-ish one. And I just enjoy doing this podcast. It's so much fun doing it with y'all and talking about all sorts of stuff that pertains to Zelda and also doesn't. And yeah, usually I'm in the background, but I like showing my face once in a while.
Well, you're not showing your face here because this is an audio-only podcast.
I'm showing my voice.
Show off that voice. It's sad. Anne is wearing a Doctor Who Legend of Zelda t-shirt that I used to own as well, and it's great, and I miss it. And
it's beautiful.
It's really nice. And also joining us, Caden.
Hello, I am Caden. I go by not anymore, but I used to go by the K Dog. I don't do content much anymore, but I'm just happy to be here, having a good time. I'm wearing an Okami shirt.
That's a very fancy shirt. You also have Okami on your wall.
Yeah, it's a wall scroll. Big Okami fan.
Nice. Meanwhile, Anne has the full-on Gate of Time.
Uh-huh.
Which is amazing.
I painted it.
You painted that? Oh, that's so cool.
Really?
We're going to be talking about all these visual things, and none of you are going to be able to know what the heck
The
we're talking
viewers
about.
will never know.
I have a whole wall of Zelda-related photos just sitting on my thing over here. It's great.
I need more merch.
That is awesome. Mostly, I have like perlers that I've created, but I like your like arts. It's like cool.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, in lieu of our usual kickoff segment, we have a brand new thing to discuss. This is pretty cool. For the first time in 8 years, we have not just new games, but a whole new system. As Nintendo has finally released the Nintendo Switch 2. I am very annoyed with that name. Super Switch was right there. And they they didn't do that.
That would have been so cool.
It would have been perfect. Following naming conventions of the past, you have the alliteration going there.
Mm-hmm.
And it just sounds better.
And very nostalgic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. They should have done that.
Mm.
But of course, I have like a big fat list of all the things they should have done. So,
well,
yeah, I'm going to be the poop in the punch bowl there a little bit.
Well, both Anne and Caden were here when we had our roundtable discussing the Switch 2 as soon as we had our first actual trailer in connection to it. And if I recall, that was your role during that roundtable as well. So you're kind of keeping on theme here as our voice of cynicism.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I've had some interesting things in the past that I'm just like, okay, I've got to start being leery before I just jump onto the wagon where everybody else is going. So,
well,
I've just been disappointed before.
Well, for full disclosure, for everybody who is listening, of the three of us, first off, we are recording this on the 6th of June, which means that the Switch 2 has been in the wild for something around 32-ish hours, depending on where in the world you are. Of the three of us, I am the only one who is currently in possession of the Switch 2. I have played approximately, I want to say 5 hours on it, so not exactly the most robust experience thus far. I played a little bit of the GameCube NSO and 4 hours of Tears of the Kingdom. So that is all the first-hand experience that we have to work on, as well as whatever random rumors apparently are flying around the internet. And no, we're not just talking about GameStop for some reason thinking it was a good idea to staple receipts to boxes.
I heard about
did see that.
I can't believe they did that. It's like,
I can't believe they did that. I got mine from GameStop, which was.
Did that happen to yours?
No, it was handed to me. I can only guess that was part of a maybe mail out system or some. I don't know. I have my own frustrations with the process I had picking mine up, but that is more on the fault of the people who are running that particular store. So I'm not. I don't know what happened there. So anywho, because we're not
it might
here,
have been like warranty stuff.
Maybe, yeah.
Sorry,
something like that. Anywho, so we're not spending the whole time talking about the Switch 2. So let's quickly jump into kind of the highlight points of how do we want to start here, Anne? Do you want to start throwing out your concerns and I answer them, or we want to go backwards?
Let's start with the good. Let's start with the good first, and then we'll go into the bad.
Okay.
Just to give everybody a good experience, and then I'll just stab it.
Do you want the good news or the bad news?
I don't know. I'm one that I want the good news first to kind of lead me into the bad.
Okay.
That's just me.
Very well. Then we will do that. So, things that I have enjoyed about the Switch 2. I do like the increased size. I am one who generally does not take this on the go, so I am happy that it goes in the thing. I work with the Joy-Cons by themselves, and I like the new size of the Joy-Cons. It fits my hand better, and it feels really smooth, and it's not so drastic from the original Joy-Con that it feels like I have to learn a whole new controller all over again. The detachment process for this thing is really entertaining to me, because you can hear it when it goes in. Just that's a hard click.
Strong magnet.
Very strong magnet. Actually, funny thing that happened when I first pulled it out, I was looking at it and I was holding it. I was thinking, I was like, okay, so here's the screen. Here's how I put this in. The green and the orange, the blue and the orange match up together. It fits into place. Perfect. The blue and the orange. Why does the blue and the orange match up to each other? And then I realized that I was holding it upside down.
Oh.
So the Joy-Cons can attach to the Switch 2 regardless of what orientation it's in. So be aware. The power button goes on top.
Yes.
That's good to know.
I have not been one to be overly infatuated with the number of frames per second or overall resolution, as long as everything looks good and doesn't look like it's, complete janky dancing the robot kind of deal. I'm happy. So I did not see that in my 5 hours. I think that everything looks really pretty. The general reports that I have heard say that, yes, it looks very pretty. So,
yeah, that's what I ended up getting too.
So that's all the good news that I can think of. Caden?
You said you played Tears of the Kingdom, correct?
Yes.
Did you ever go to Korok Forest?
Not yet. So I have started a brand new playthrough.
Okay.
I need to give Tears of the Kingdom a fresh run through, and I'm specifically doing it before playing Breath of the Wild for a couple of reasons, but hopefully that will let me separate the two more efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
I've been seeing a number of clips about other games that weren't even ever mentioned in any of the trailers or frame rate detail thingies. Some people played Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, and I absolutely adore that game. But it's very commonly said that especially in the first level, the battle in Hyrule Field gets very, very choppy, and I can concede to that. And apparently, I haven't looked into too much detail, but apparently that kind of has been sorted out. So there are a number of games that haven't been officially announced to have gotten updates that are getting smoothed out and ironed out, and all the common issues. We've been getting marketed like a lot about the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That game is getting a heavy updates in terms of resolution and frame rates. But there are also a number of games that haven't been officially announced that also did as well in the background.
Go
Which is really
figure.
nice.
If you have better tech, it will perform better.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice when it happens. All right, Anne, what do you got?
So I've got a couple of things.
There's the
I've got a baby.
The dossier.
1 second.
Dossier. We have a special guest.
Is that a baby?
It's a baby. Oh,
It is a baby.
Hi.
So, hopefully he'll be okay. We'll see. But anyway, one of the biggest problems that I have heard that a lot of people have been having is battery life. That battery life has been just really, really bad. Like almost 1% each minute ends up being sucked dry.
Well,
so what do you guys think about that?
Speaking as somebody who never even keeps my laptop out of a charge port if I can help it, like I said, I keep my Switch 2 in the dock if at all possible. I'm not particularly worried about it. There's also, I would imagine, a lot of individuals who are used to playing their games at max settings, max output, highest frames per second, all of that stuff. That's going to drain your battery, regardless of what you have. So if people are expecting a console, a full-on high-end PC experience in what is essentially a tablet, you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, that's what I've just been hearing a lot of. Just that's like the biggest issue that a lot of people have been talking about is just the battery life and also how it charges really slowly. Have you been having issues with that at all?
Mm-mm. No, it was sitting about 50%, I want to say, charge when I opened it up and got everything set up. And yeah. I mean, everything worked fine. The Joy-Cons, I haven't had any battery issues at all.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's just like one of the biggest issues that I ended up reading on multiple articles is that the battery life is just crap. Another thing is it's having heating problems. That one I'm not surprised because I had problems with that one when I had my first generation Switch. It's like it would overheat. So I'm not surprised with that one that a lot of people are having issues with that. It seems to be like common with a new console. I had it with my PS4, had it with the Switch. So it's like, okay, that one, I'm not surprised.
I haven't had that much of an issue. I did feel a little bit of heat from it. But as soon as the fans really kicked in, everything was fine. And again, if you're putting everything on highest settings... Now, I don't know what these people are using for their settings to make their determination. So it could be that my experience just differs, but it always feels like the thing everybody is going nuts over, I never have that much of an issue with.
And they made it a point to address the cooling situation with like the new dock with having a fan. Do you ever hear it like working overtime? Like, is it ever going crazy? The fan?
Not in the 5 hours, at least not in a way that I noticed it.
Okay. Yeah, I imagine it's obviously going to be like the console itself is obviously going to be working, heavy duty. Mm-hmm. I trust the new fan though, because I don't think the Switch 1 had that any sort of similar cooling system.
It definitely did not, and I do remember some heating happening on the Switch, but it was never to a point where I worried that it was going to overheat.
Sadly, I had that issue. I ended up having my Switch almost sound like it's about to take off, and it would overheat to the point where I couldn't play any games because it was just getting overheated. That's why I'm like, when I ended up hearing about that, I'm like, I'm not surprised. So, but the other thing that people have been complaining about, one, it seems like they've already fixed it, is that the backward compatibility ends up having issues, like being able to play like Switch 1 games. But that seems to have, I think they fixed it, but don't quote me on that one.
Well,
This is just things I've read.
I only have Tears of the Kingdom, and I updated it for Switch 2. So I don't know. Can't answer to that one.
Well, you'll have to check it and see if they fixed it. Because apparently it was like having issues and they had to do an update. So I don't know.
Well, so the whole thing with the day one update was specifically for backwards compatibility. I know there were a couple of people that got their hands on it early and had issues with that, but that was pre-launch before Nintendo officially released the console and as well as the update patch. So yeah, that I imagine that would have been fixed yesterday.
Well, good. I can play a new Pokemon Snap tomorrow and not worry about it. I'll squeal over all of the cute Pokemon in high definition.
Well, that's good. Yeah, because that was one of the biggest issues too. But just like I said, it's like I swore that they fixed it. Mm-hmm. So that's good. The other one is Joy-Cons are uncomfortable to use.
Nope.
Because of the magnets, and they're kind of wobbly. Like that one, I feel like it's supposed to be like that.
It's not wobbly,
but I don't know. How do you feel about it?
Not wobbly at all. Dude, these magnets are nuts. Like, before I realized where the thing was, I was, like, pulling on it, and, like, there's the slightest amount of wiggle if I'm really trying to wiggle it. But if you're just holding it, what are you doing to your wrists to make you put that much torque on your Joy-Cons in the first place?
You do have a point there.
I think there was a video that was released by Nintendo in the last day or two, specifically about the console itself. I don't know where I saw it. I think it might have been a Twitter post. But there was on the console itself, between where the Joy-Con and the console like meet, there should be like a really thin gap, and I think that's meant specifically for give. Like if you connect the Joy-Cons together, or the Joy-Con to the console, mm-hmm. there should be like a very paper thin gap, maybe.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, that was like an intentional thing to give it some sort of give. I was also watching a stress test, I don't know what the proper term is, stress test or damage test thingy that was specifically meant to show like how much damage it could take and all that kind of stuff. And
they determined that a staple was a bad idea.
That's just unfortunate. Oh, poor GameStop. What are we doing? But like with the Joy-Cons, like they tested like snapping the Joy-Con like off like that, and the insert chip inside the console where the Joy-Con connects into, it's not going anywhere. Like that thing can take a beating. There's intentional give so that it can like not break. It makes me happy that like that was actually at least thought about and addressed, because they were going crazy. They were like putting it in and like snapping it, and you can't see the viewers can't see what I'm doing with my hands, but like they were going crazy on those Joy-Cons, and it was not budging. Or it was coming off, but it wasn't snapping, it wasn't breaking, it could still function and work properly. So like the stress that this thing can take is quite impressive, honestly, from like a visual standpoint.
Well, that's good that they ended up doing that, because this is just articles that I've read that just had so many complaints of different things dealing with the Switch, and I'm just like, I'm curious on, like, I kind of figured that Connor would get one. I wasn't sure if you were going to get one, Caden. But, yeah. But one last thing that people have been complaining about is basically, this is just from Reddit that I basically have been reading about. Oh, sorry.
Obviously, the Switch 2 was not child friendly.
Oh yes.
See?
We're not child friendly.
Not baby endorsed.
Okay. Unfortunately, I'd say that's a big blow. The babies were all ready to go buy them.
Oh, I know, right? But yeah, he didn't get a Switch, sadly. But the other thing is, and you guys can explain this a little bit better than I can, is that we don't own the games anymore. Apparently, there's a just 1 second, 1 moment.
Dang.
Oh boy, no,
Babies,
I know what she's talking about. The thing regarding the end user agreement, depending on how you read it, you can kind of make that determination. And that is unfortunately something that games in general have been kind of moving towards. So for example, Steam, you don't technically own a lot of those games. You just have the agreements that you can download it. So if you've been, like I do, you just leave your library on Steam and you don't download them. If they decide to pull it, there's nothing you can do about it. NSO, technically, you don't own any of the games on NSO, so if they pull whatever games off that, you don't have that. And the way that the end user license agreement more or less phrases it is, we own this stuff. We don't allow you to basically rip it, use it for commercial purposes. They even use, there's a whole list of terms that they put on there for things you're not allowed to do with whatever software you implement. Now, this was the end user license agreement for the Switch 2 itself. So the software in question may be more in regards to the software used to run the Switch as opposed to the games. That's
what I took away from that.
Yeah.
Could be wrong. I don't read end user license agreements often.
No one ever does.
I would say.
It's just really funny when someone finds a thing in there, as if we haven't already been signing away our souls with every single new account we sign up for.
Something that I've and maybe this is related to the question, with the owning the games themselves, like the game key cards, with the way, so as I understand it, and I've been looking into this specific topic for quite a bit, with the game key cards, what I've seen people think that they are is that like download codes in a game box. That's not the case. The whole purpose of the game key cards is for other developers to get a physical version of the game without having to worry about the manufacturing costs and also the time and effort that goes into manufacturing physical game cartridges and putting the data onto the things. Something about the cartridges not having having a set minimum amount of data, and if the game is smaller than that, they can't meet that minimum, so they have to just make it a game key card. Could be wrong about that. That's just what I've seen and read. But only certain third-party games are going to be game key cards. And it's not like you download the thing and then you can just have it on their console forever and ever. You still have to put the card into the thing. So it still functions like a regular game, except the data isn't saved isn't on the cartridge itself. Mario Kart World is going to be a physical game. Cyberpunk 2077 is a physical game. It's all on the cartridges. Only a select number of third parties that can't meet that data minimum are going to make them game key cards.
Well, you guys explained a lot better than I did, because I didn't understand what people were talking about when they said that.
I wasn't even planning on like reading all of it myself. In fact, I was putting it together. I just happened to be on stream, and as I was pulling it up, it's like, oh, look, here's the end user license agreement. And one of my followers just said, read it. So it's like, okay, I'm starting reading it if you really want me to. So I read the first section of it that talked about this particular thing. So yes, if you do start messing with and hacking Nintendo, the actual Switch itself, Nintendo does reserve the right to brick your system. So
Yeah, that was another thing.
So keep that in mind. Don't go giving yourself super expert mod things on this thing. Especially don't try and sell
wrong.
it.
Yes. We at Zelda Universe do not officially endorse modding of official consoles. I can't speak for the company though. But with that specific topic, with like the bricking stuff, I could be wrong. Probably am. But is that not stuff that's been in end user license agreements for like past Nintendo consoles, Sony, Microsoft? Has that not been a standard thing?
I
don't think that's
know.
anything new.
I know that as far as anti-piracy measures have gone, that's been a common thing for a long time. I don't know about the systems, but I do know that various games, if you tried to hack it, it would, or pirate it, it would specifically lock you out of sometimes accessing main parts of the game, sometimes the game entirely. So this isn't a new practice.
I think now people, because it was before, so I assume it's like before it was games and software specific, but now it's like the console itself.
That's all I'm aware of. I think that because of the fact that through the Nintendo account and the way everything is accessed via the internet, it's a lot easier to police those kinds of hacking and mods from anywhere, since everyone uses the internet. So the Nintendo ninjas are not going to break into your home and steal your Switch, because you've already been giving them access to all of your tech as it is.
Yeah, that's true. Well, these are basically the main issues that have been coming up in Reddit and different articles. That's all I've got on my list.
All right. Well, if you have not been scared away by the price tag and the potential concerns people have been raising, the Nintendo Switch 2 is available. Don't pay scalpers for it, please.
No.
Don't give them that.
Yeah, please don't do that, please.
You don't need the console that bad to where you got to pay a scalper exuberant amount of money, hard-earned money.
They will come back. You can't get it now. They will come back.
Yeah, most likely.
Don't wait till the holiday sales.
All right. Well, moving on from our Switch 2 discussion, let us proceed to something a little bit more usual or unusual. Depends on how you look at it, as we move over to Zelda Study, the series where we examine the history of The Legend of Zelda to bring you some fascinating or just plain weird trivia. Looking at the game's development, curiosities within the rich lore of the franchise, and the impact it has had on our culture. We travel to Ocarina of Time, and we are given a interesting look into potential changes in location. In Kakariko Village, the graveyard is home to Dampé, our friendly nighttime gravekeeper, and everything's fine as a child. Big stuff, big piece of heart, it's great. And then you go to the future, you find out, 1, Dampé's dead, and 2, he's a ghost. And you have to go race him, get a hookshot. Aaron Talon, who wrote this column, noticed a very interesting detail in the construction of the entrance to Dampé's race. You're standing on an elevated platform, there are some columns that reach up to the ceiling, but instead of just going to the ceiling proper, there is a top level that the columns connect into. And if you look closely in the original Zelda, at the border of that top layer, there is a series of crescent moons. And if you are familiar with the old structure of Ocarina of Time, the crescent moon was a pretty prominent symbol amongst the Gerudo. That symbol has since changed, but the implication being that at some point in the development of Dampé's graveyard, it very well could have been located somewhere in the Gerudo Valley or the Gerudo Fortress.
Yeah, I thought this was just interesting reading this article. And actually, I ended up replaying this particular area just so I can see it for myself. Definitely there's the moon crescents inside where you end up getting the hook shot, but there's also some outside as well as you're going in, which I thought was kind of interesting as well. And I went down this huge, let's just say huge rabbit hole when I ended up researching this. And actually, when I look at the new design that they ended up doing for like the 3DS and the virtual, they ended up changing it to like a kind of like what they said in the article, a flowery kind of design. When I actually look at that flowery design, it kind of looks like an outline of Ganon when he's like almost over like the mountain. I don't know. That's just my own like eye, like my artistic eye, but it kind of looks like Ganon to me. What do you two think?
That would be really strange.
Yeah, I'd have to honestly replay it myself because I'm trying to Google search image search like Dampé grave. I gotta find. So I have to do some more visual research of my own. But yeah, I wouldn't put it past because, well, honestly, I don't know. Ganon rather, technically has history in the timeline, right? Before Ocarina of Time. Wait. No, I don't know.
I know it's weird and interesting. I just like I said, I went down this huge rabbit hole to where I ended up like almost making this lore to where it brings Dampé into a little bit more of the story. Wondering,
Sure.
do you want to hear my theory?
Cue game theory. Cue
Okay,
game theory intro.
so- Oh, I know. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so as you end up kind of knowing about the Gerudo, you can only, well, it seems like it's a tradition to have a male every 100 years. So I was like, okay, because there's not like a lot of connections to the Gerudo, but this just is like a pretty big one. Just the fact that it's in his grave. I was like, okay, what if Dampé actually was Gerudo? Like he actually was, that he was the male that was born. Like either because he was born outside of the 100 years and he basically in a way got cursed or basically got banished because he was not supposed to be born in that 100 or outside of the 100 years. So they basically threw him in the graveyard. It's like, okay, live in a shack. You're gone. And throughout like those 7 years that Link is, I guess, in a coma, Ganondorf knew about this, but he was born in the 100 years, but he still knew about Dampé and was like possibly afraid that he was going to take him like over because we don't know how Dampé died. I've researched everywhere. I don't know how Dampé died. What if Ganondorf ended up getting him? It's like, hey, you're gone. Shoot, you're dead. But technically he didn't really die because he's cursed because he was born outside of the 100 years. So because the Gerudo still had respect for Dampé, they created this grave for him because he loves games. Everybody knows that he loves the digging game. So he basically made a grave game for him out of respect for him because he's Gerudo, so we have to still show respect. And that's why the symbols are there. So technically, he's supposed to be the king of thieves, not Ganondorf. But because that's just one theory. But the other one is he was born in the 100 years, but because he was like either malformed or he was just not liked, they threw him away. And they regret it, so they gave him an awesome grave.
I'm holding back my laughter, just the idea of the king of evil, Ganondorf, being somehow threatened by Quasimodo over here. And look, Hunchback of Notre Dame, great movie. Quasimodo, adorable miscreant. Probably not the best word for that. Doesn't matter. He ain't threatening. Nothing about Dampé is threatening. He is adorable. Kook.
Honestly, when I was a kid,
he probably died of old age more than anything else.
The Hunchback of Notre Dame. So when I was a kid, I was like, okay, who is this guy? Why does his jaw look like that? But like he's a cuddly guy, especially in later appearances. He's a cuddly, funny little dude. I do like the implication of the theory that like, because a lot of things happen between when Link pulls the Master Sword and when you come out of the Temple of Time as an adult. And Ganondorf's been up to some things behind the scenes. I like the implication that, like, oh, Ganondorf had to cut off some loose ends, so Dampé could have been one of them. Like, that's really cool.
Yeah, I just went down this huge route. I can't find anything on how he died, where he was born, like, not much about Dampé. So I'm just like...
No, there's almost nothing.
Could be the king of... He's supposed to be the king of thieves, but they had to basically hide him, get him away. Because of either he was... Yeah.
I would say that his general build and complexion leads me away from that. Because if he's Gerudo, there's some other things that should be a part of that.
Well, his skin could have lightened up because he's not out in the sun. But I don't know.
Tell that to every single person with darker skin who lives in Alaska or in the mountains. I'm sorry, that's not gonna fly.
We don't know who the dad is, so the dad could have been. That could be it. That could be it. Like they ended up going outside, and I don't because I have also another theory.
Wait, even better. Since you said that. We don't know who Ganondorf's dad is.
That's big.
Dampé is Ganondorf's dad.
That's big. Wait.
Mind blown.
Wait.
That's big. That's it.
That's
throwing this in the timeline.
And then he came back and had to kill Dampé because he couldn't have any loose ends. Oh my gosh. Oh my god.
To kill his dad.
Yes.
Oh my god. Long live the king.
We're going full Lion King over this.
And that's why they showed him so much respect. And that's why he has such an awesome grave.
Honestly, I think this works. No, take out the whole theory about the Gerudo training grounds used to be Dampé's grave, but now they moved it out. No, take that out. This makes way more sense.
This is much more entertaining.
I'm glad that you all find it entertaining because this is my brain.
And that's the fun
I find
part.
like little tiny tidbits of anything in like any video game. It doesn't even need to be a Zelda game, and I'll just go, oh my gosh, down the rabbit hole I go. I just find it so much fun.
It's great where you can find that. I do that same thing, particularly with Genshin Impact. I love looking at lore implications and how things are connected. I don't necessarily go down rabbit holes, but once I can start making connections and trying to logic out how things progress, it's, oh, well, maybe this could happen and this could happen. If we want the quote-unquote actual explanation, chances are it's not that the location itself was there, but more like they were using various assets to build things that they eventually compiled into what is now Dampé's grave.
Yeah.
And like the article says, it's just one little thing that they forgot to switch over.
Get rid of.
Kind of like how Majora's Mask, you have the literal entrance to Kakariko sign sitting in the middle of Grimia's Ranch, even though it's Grimia's Ranch.
I think the article does bring up like it's this whole thing is kind of one of those sort of aspects of game design. Like, hey, you never know what the developers might have been thinking at a certain point in development. Maybe they changed their mind halfway through and moved things around. And it brings up, like, it could have been intentional that the player would go from Temple of Time to the Gerudo Valley to get the hook shot and then go back to Kakariko. It could have been one of those roadmap things that might have changed, but that's just a possibility.
There are a a number of points in the narrative of Ocarina of Time that I would argue don't really have connective tissue. The last time that last time I streamed Ocarina of Time, I tried to flesh out the story so that it made sense why you went to point A to point B, as opposed to just, oh, let's dial up Saria. Maybe she knows for some random reason, despite never leaving the forest ever.
Mm-hmm.
But she's a sage.
So it's one of those things.
She has sage clairvoyance.
Mystical sage powers.
Yeah.
Yeah, she can hook up to like the sage cloud.
The sage. Just dial up the sage internet. No, I prefer this. Let's Dampé, Ganondorf
Me
stab.
too. I like it.
That's it. Done. And Dampé, I don't blame you.
Don't blame them all.
Nope. I want to ruin my life. Anywho, let us. So, thanks to Aaron Talon for composing this entry in Zelda Study, and we're actually going to continue thanking Aaron Talon. This goes to show that we don't really pay all that much attention to who is writing the articles. We're just grateful that they are here, because Aaron Talon is doing double time this month as we turn over to the Bomber's Notebook, a series where we take a special look at the various and unique characters found in the Legend of Zelda series. And we are looking at some of the most appreciated, if underutilized, characters in the game. In this particular case, the pets. We love our pets. One of the best things about Twilight Princess is the fact that you can pick up and cuddle the pets. The puppies and the kitties. I love playing fetch with the dog in Twilight Princess. It makes me so happy. But today we are looking at Gengle the cat. One of the few... Well, you don't necessarily have to talk to Gengle, but considering Gengle's fairly unique position, you can't help but want to inquire as to how he got stuck there on the head of his owner. Which is just cruel.
Yeah, I fully admit I didn't know that
I'm gonna be honest.
Cat for a long time.
Back in the day when I first played the
game,
when I wasn't really reading dialogue, I was just kind of playing the game and blasting through it. This was when I was like 7, by the way. And I would just, I was like, okay, he has a funny hat. I never looked at it. I never read the dialogue saying his cat was stuck on his head. He literally says his cat is stuck on his head. I never really read that, so it never really registered until like way later in my life. I didn't know he had a name until very recently.
The fact that you were
I don't know
7
exactly how old I
when
was.
you were playing this game.
What year?
I was in college.
Twilight Princess came out in 2008?
I feel old.
Was it 8? I think Wind Waker was 6. Princess.
I've got to look this up now.
Release date. Yeah, 2000. Oh,
you're
6.
looking it up.
Dang. Yeah, so. Oh, yeah, so I was 7 years old.
It was like 2002, 2003.
06. I'm a 99 baby. Apologies. Barely. I made it.
Well, at least you were in the 90s.
I still count it.
You're a 90s
You
kid.
No, he's a 90s baby. There's a difference between a 90s baby and a 90s kid.
Okay, that's true.
I'm a 90s kid. I was born in 87, so my childhood
that I remember
was
playing
91 here.
as a conscious human being. But anyways, Gengle. You're right.
As opposed to what you were playing when you were unconscious. The first thing that I ever noticed about Giovanni was, first off, obviously, he's been Midas. Just the Midas touch. And I kind of questioned how he could talk.
Yeah.
I can't move. I can't sitting over here. And he's gonna like talk through closed lips. Either that or he's just an amazing ventriloquist.
Yeah, I didn't make sense to me either, because it's like, how can he move? Like, maybe he can move his
what I
tongue,
remember-
maybe? I don't. I'm.
Yeah, you have to go full ventriloquism. It's like, I can't you help me, doggy?
From what I remember,
I can't do
from what I remember of his like
girlfriend.
in-game voice thingy, because like there's it's not voice acting obviously, but there's still like sounds that they make for characters. From what I remember of that, it did sound like a very muffled, like a panicked muffled kind of sound. So honestly, that's probably what it is. They just didn't they didn't type out in the text the misspelling of how it would sound phonetically.
His mouth is open just enough. I'm glad that it's just his body that's frozen and not his internal organs.
Yeah, another thing about like, how he looks and whatnot. I am wondering also, how can he see with it looks like diamonds for his eyes. So is he like seeing like multiple, like out of each corner of that diamond?
And it has the prism effect, so everything is just psychedelic, kaleidoscope type of.
I mean, yeah, it is. He literally is.
A curse. That is a curse.
Definitely.
And then you have Gengle, who obviously has no part in his master's opulence and greed. He just happens to be laying on top of his head when this fairy shows up.
He's a victim of just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Man.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you hate that?
Yeah, and also just the fact that his eyes are closed too. So maybe he can hear everything and he's just basically permanently, quote unquote, sleeping.
Yeah, no, he's not. No, he's not.
But that poor cat.
Poor Gengle. You see, at least Gengle is nice enough to pay us for our efforts in rescuing him.
That's true.
I'm sure that he is taking this money from Giovanni, and to be frank, the guy deserves it. Guy's bemoaning the fact that his girlfriend dumped him when I'm surprised. Well, no. I'm not surprised that the girlfriend didn't dump him until now.
He got the racks, man.
He be
honestly
spraying them rupees. He loaded. I ain't saying she's a gold digger. I'm saying she's taking full advantage of Agatha's wallets.
The stacks of gold coins. So I thought, the currency is rupees. We understand this. So would the coins be like their like cents? Like if rupees are dollars, would the rupees be like coins?
Or it could be even like more.
I wonder.
I don't know.
It's interesting. If you look closely at the gold coins in question, they are emblazoned double with the Hylian crest. So they are Hylian in nature. My initial reaction was, even back when we had the gold standard in terms of defining currency, people didn't just throw gold at each other for exchange. They still had notes and whatnot.
So I guess maybe they would be more valuable than rupees, but we should use gold coins instead then.
Yeah, but then we wouldn't have rupees. We love rupees.
Yeah, rupees are pretty.
That's true.
Yes. Yes. And you're not finding gold coins out in the fields. You're finding rupees.
Thank you, Minish, for putting.
What am I cutting the grass for?
And also hearts, because that's canon apparently. Yeah.
And kinstones.
I don't know. Maybe it's only like a Hyrule Town currency.
That is true, because I don't think we've seen it anywhere else.
Not really. I just kind of assumed that it was a general display of opulence.
I have gold because I am rich. Wealth. I'm not rich because I have gold.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just there to show off how rich he is. Though the fact that it's double-sided like that, the more I look at these coins, the more off they are, and not just because they're obviously 2D graphics on a three-dimensional pile, but that whole split between them, it doesn't look like how you would imagine a coin would be. So maybe it's actually all counterfeit gold.
Oh.
So the pose screwed Giovanni over twice. At least half of his riches aren't even real.
It's just a, like, here, it looks good kind of thing.
Exactly.
Interesting. I never thought of that. I have to replay it now just to go and see the coins.
The only reason you are playing the entirety of Twilight Princess is to look at the creepy statue man, his gold cat, and all of these coins that may or may not be real.
Yes, because I am that dedicated.
Yes! We admire your dedication.
Well, he does have like a gold crown in the background.
Oh, yeah.
I just noticed that. Like on his chair.
That one,
Where did it?
yeah, that one does look pretty real. The chair looks comfortable, which I hope it is, considering where he's stuck.
Would he be able to feel, though? If he was able to feel, oh, that would be terrible.
His internal organs are working enough that he can speak. I would assume that his nerves are still functional.
Oh, and then when he gets
so
unstuck,
cramped.
that probably would hurt so bad.
Oh, that's why we don't see him move from outside the house to go see his girlfriend. It's just okay, I'm going to go see him. See you later. Just gotta work out everything.
Oh, ow, 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 ow. I can
As
just
someone who has
feel
spent
that, even
too
though
much
it's not
time
real.
laying in bed in the early mornings on summer break, I can admit whenever I have to move, it does it catches up with you very fast.
It does. Yeah, for a while, during my pregnancy, I actually was on bed rest for a while. Getting up was horrible. Oh, it felt like every part of my body was like about to just crumble. And it was like stabbing needles everywhere.
I do not
don't
plan on getting
recommend it.
pregnant anytime soon.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Me neither. In fact, I don't plan on getting pregnant at all.
It's a wonderful experience, but
I
there
can
are some owies that can happen.
That is the nicest way I have ever heard anyone describe the pregnancy process.
Owies.
I remember one time. This is getting horribly off topic. I remember one time my mom was upset about something or other. I think she was arguing with my dad about something. And somehow the thing of pregnancy came up, and she basically described it to pooping out a watermelon.
That's an interesting way to put it, but all right. I've heard like carrying like a watermelon, but never pooping out a watermelon.
Well, the watermelon has to come out, doesn't
It's
it?
true. One way or another, it's true.
By the way, this podcast is rated PG for all ages, so... Well, we are going to leave Giovanni and Gengle in their opulent hellhole as we move on to our featured article of the month. And this is where I get to preen my own feathers because I wrote this.
Ooh.
Yes, way back when, I used to be a features writer. And as of the beginning of this year, I had even before the beginning of this year, I had a big ol' reason to write an article because I did something that I have been meaning to do for literally years, and I finally accomplished a long-standing and probably most people would argue to be a completely ludicrous goal. Have either of you two played any of the either of the Hyrule Warriors games?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Excellent. Well, that'll make discussing this with both of you very
Big fan.
easy. Big fan.
Love it.
The original Hyrule Warriors is the best example of fan service I think you could ask for anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It is all of your favorite characters, with a few notable exceptions. There should have been Goose.
It's true.
They are all immaculately designed, with amazing background sounds and music, and you just throw them out in a battlefield and just say, ham it up, kill everything. No thinking, no strategy, just get in there and annihilate.
Yes. Yeah, this game is probably one of my all-time favorite games when I am just like upset and I need to beat something up. So I'll go to this game and I'm just like,
Good therapy.
okay, I feel better now.
Good aggression therapy.
It is.
This is
It is
my
such good
first
therapy.
Warriors game on the Wii that I've ever played, and I played it originally on the Wii U, and I got a lot of hours and time spent into this one, and then later on, once we started getting the DLC characters, always had a blast with this. I always did really struggle with adventure mode, and I assume that's where the brunt of the completion lied. Is that correct?
So, to give further context, the grand accomplishment in which I embarked upon, completely unintentionally, by the way, I would like to just say this. No one's going to believe me, except for the people who were there on stream in December of 2023, when I said I was just going to play through the story mode of Hyrule Warriors. I played through the story mode, and then I said to myself, there is more involved here. I should at least show a little bit for the sake of demonstrating what adventure mode is. And so I started adventure mode. And I kept going. And going. And going. And eventually I 100%ed because at some point I was like, well, here I am. I'm 4 maps in. Obviously, I'm ears deep into this. We're going all the way. I'm told that the Dynasty Warriors franchise has a history of this, of just stuffing the game with as much content as humanly possible. Which, they certainly have the capacity to do that. As soon as you get past the actual graphics of what it is that you're doing, it doesn't take a whole lot to set up a scenario. You're on this map, you have some keeps that you can capture by beating up a bunch of guys. There can be some key bosses or other characters that you got to beat up. And aside from that, that's it. So just throw together whatever random combination of that kind of thing, and you have literally hundreds of different scenarios. The adventure map, the first adventure map, is quite literally a recreation of the original Legend of Zelda map. And so it's like, hey, it's like we're playing the original Zelda, except cool graphics and beating up more stuff. And then there's Wind Waker. And then there's another regular Zelda. And another Wind Waker. And Twilight Princess. And Majora's Mask. And Link Between Worlds. It just keeps going and going. I've tried to 100% this game like half a dozen times. And I keep getting bogged down by the sheer volume of stuff that there
hefty.
is to do.
I give you kudos for doing this. My husband and I have tried for years, tried to do this, and I am actually finally picking up the old file that, because I was going to redo it, and then I looked at how much there was going to be, and I said, no. So I'm picking up the old file, and I'd probably say a little under 70% of the way there. But that's just me and my husband doing it. You did this all by yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, crap.
And the original
kudos to you for doing it.
The very first adventure mode map, it's already a time sink, but even Definitive Edition add all the My Fairy stuff from Legends, and then the new maps with the DLC characters. Like it's insane the amount of content you have to get through to 100% this. So
I am a shameless completionist, especially when it comes to Zelda. For some reason, I want to be able to do it all. Even if I don't have to, if it's unconnected to stuff, it's still like but what is it like? What is the thing over there? I am amazed that I am not a Pokemon collector. Like, I should be one of those weirdos that has collected
The
everything.
Pokédexes fear him.
And I have not. And I'm not doing it now. But at this point, the only game that I've yet to 100% on is Minish Cap. Which I will do at some point as soon as I gain the desire to farm Kinstones.
The big one for Minish Cap is going to be the gacha machine. Really?
It actually isn't.
Really?
I have gotten the full gacha.
Really?
Here's the thing about the gacha. The thing about the gacha is you can add more shells to up your chances of getting a new figure. So just keep adding however many you need to guarantee yourself a new figure, and you're fine. And they give you more than enough.
Is there like a
seashells
solid way
to
to get consistent shells?
Wow.
I forget. It's been a long time since I've done this. The thing with Kinstones is that you need specific Kinstones to go with specific people, and you are not guaranteed that you are going to get those Kinstones. You have to start farming them. So you're digging holes, you're cutting grass, you're defeating enemies, and it just takes forever.
Wow. That's actually really impressive. My question is to you, did you 100% Breath of the Wild? Have you done that yet?
I have 100% Breath of the Wild. I have 100% Tears of the Kingdom.
Wow. Because I've done Breath of the Wild. I'm working on Tears of the Kingdom.
I am a little perturbed now that we have the Zelda notes on the Switch 2, because they have achievement awards here. And,
really?
And yes. So I'm going to
Tell me more.
I'm going to jump over to Tears of the Kingdom that I have in here, because I've already started streaming it. And
is it just like an app, or?
Yes, it is an app that is on your phone.
Switch Online app, and then there's like a Zelda Notes subsection to it.
Yes.
Do you need to pay for it, or is it free?
It is part of your My Nintendo account.
Oh, okay.
So as long as you already have one of that, you can log in, and apparently I'm being notified that I've earned a new medal. You see, there's the thing. Your play data also has a whole bunch of achievement medals that are attached to it, which is annoying because a lot of these it didn't transfer over because they probably weren't recording all of these things from from on the original Switch. So it says, for example, there's one here, earn by increasing your meals eaten stat. So how much food have you eaten? And that will get you a thing. You can have like 1,000 meals eaten to get the full thing. So if I treat these as things I'm supposed to get, well then I have to apparently scan designs. I have to item box deposits made, navigation destinations visited, which means I have to set up pins.
Oh boy!
So yeah, a lot of things just that you've already done most likely just didn't transfer over to being done. Yeah,
they just weren't recorded. But all the shrines,
I'm gonna have to get mine then.
All the shrines, all the light routes, all the side quests, all the Koroks, all the Hudson signs, all the caves, all the wells.
There you go.
I've done it all. And that burnt me out on Tears of the Kingdom because I basically power gamed to, first off, not be spoiled on Tears of the Kingdom, and then
that's so fair.
Do 100% on Tears of the Kingdom. And so now this is my first time touching it in about 2 years. Which is good, because I feel a lot better about playing it, at least the first 4 hours that I played.
Well, I completely understand how you feel, because I'm right there with you. I love just the feel of after you complete a game completely, 100%, you're just like, wow, I did it. Mm-hmm. Like you have just that sense of accomplishment. And that's why I'm doing it to every game.
That's why I've seen everything that this game has to offer. It's really, really cool. It's a little harder when some of the achievements are about like difficult play style stuff. So if it's a technically mandatory kind of game, technically challenging game, I'm not necessarily that good at those, so I won't necessarily work with those. But with something like Zelda, where the idea more than anything is to explore and experience, that is right up my alley. And on the flip side of that, as we've already kind of talked about it a couple of times, the risk of burnout when it comes to completing something of this magnitude is crazy. I am one of those people that encourages, not actively, but just passively encourages these game companies to keep re-releasing games, because I have all 3 versions of Hyrule Warriors over here, because I didn't 100% the first one. A second one's coming out with it's the same thing, just with more stuff. Well, then I'll just do that one. I didn't do that one. Here's the definitive, it has all of it. All right, I'll just do that one, because that'll count for all of it. And when you try to power game something that is literally just do this, and then do this, and then do this, there gets to a point where you will burn yourself out. And that's, like I said, I burned myself out on Tears of the Kingdom. And I burnt myself out on Hyrule Warriors at least half a dozen times. It wasn't until doing this as part of my streams every week that I could properly space everything out. It became part of something that I was doing with the people who were watching with me, or watching me, this is a technical term. It also gave me a distinct goal. I am only playing this 4 hours a week. That's it, unless I feel particularly enthused to collect whatever random materials I need to level up a character.
Well, that is really good that you're spacing it out. 'Cause when I was streaming, I got just a mix of game burnout as well as streamer burnout. That it was just like, I almost, as sad as it may sound, I almost didn't like video games at that point. Because it was just like, because it was my outlet. Video games have always been my outlet since I was a kid. And which is partially why I haven't been streaming anymore, because I kind of want to enjoy my video games again. But also life ended up happening too. Like, well, I graduated with my master's. I ended up getting pregnant, went to the hospital. Well, let's just say a lot of things happened, which is another reason why I haven't been streaming. But I get that burnout. Because and especially when it's something you love, it almost makes you feel bad when you end up, I don't know if you feel that way, but I do. I feel bad that I ended up having burnout of something I treasured, which is Zelda. But it's nice to finally get back into video games, especially since I haven't played in a while.
Go ahead,
It's crazy how streaming can be both either a really good way to get reconnected with certain games, and also it's really easy to just overdo it. It's very easy to overdo it and kind of dampens your experience with games. For me, I really struggle with replaying games. There are so many games that I love. I absolutely love. My favorite game of all time is Fossil Fighters Champions for the Nintendo DS. Favorite game of all time. Monster Collector, dinosaurs. It's amazing. I love. I'm a really big dinosaur guy. Favorite game of all time. But if I tried playing it on my own, like just on my own time, I wouldn't be stuck with it. My my third favorite game of all time is Okami. Love that game. Once I beat it, I tried replaying it on PlayStation. I couldn't really do it anymore. Even after like 3 years of not touching it for a while. But when it comes to certain games that I'm replaying for streams, I haven't streamed in a long time, but for the games I have played before, like on stream, if I've played them prior to that, having that sort of stream, I guess, mindset, mentality, environment makes it just easier to just sit and do the thing. Even though I've already played it before, it makes it way easier to engage with it again. I've replayed Zelda games like countless times. Twilight Princess, at least 5 times. Ocarina of Time, at least 10 times, right? And streaming them makes it even that much easier to just engage with them again. But if I had to do it on my own time, I don't have any sort of drive to do that because I've already done this before. So I guess it's kind of like two-edged sword, double-edged sword. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like the opposite of that, where when I end up doing it on the stream, I will be honest, I ended up having problems because I was so obsessed with like the numbers. I wanted to try to get as many people to my stream, and it almost like that part was getting burnout. And then also I had a few viewers that were a little bit too bossy, which that ended up causing me to have burnout. And then I ended up just, well, I guess my own mental crap, which I'm not going to go into, but that was causing some problems. And it was just like, it made me not enjoy video games because that was my outlet, and it was almost creating more problems for me. But when I'm doing it in my own time, in my own, just like, I guess you could say bubble, I'm like, I can do it at just my own speed. Like I don't like nobody's like telling me I need to go this way when I'm just going to do it my own way and just go and be a dork. That's what I said. That's how I am when I'm playing different games. I'll just go and mess things up just to see how it would work. But there are some things I do miss about streaming. Like there was some amazing people that I got to meet. That's actually one thing I'm like thinking about possibly doing is restreaming on Zelda Universe because I love this community. This community has just been awesome and amazing. So I'm thinking about possibly doing that, but it's kind of hard with a baby. But yeah, just video games for me is just a time to just turn off my brain.
Yeah.
And just focus on just this and nothing else. Just get into this world and just go turn my brain to mush.
It is fascinating to me to see how different aspects can influence a person's experience with whatever it happens to be. So obviously in the day and age in which we live, where the prospect of becoming a online personality, a YouTuber, a streamer, some kind of online influencer, as the terminology tends to go, that's really attractive to a lot of people, particularly younger individuals with a stronger grasp of technology. Hey, here's this thing where people are earning a living and getting famous by doing something that I do all the time. Awesome. I should just do that. That way, I can just play games and I will get a ton of money. And then you introduce that to the actual world that is trying to make it big, as it were. No different from trying to become a sports star or an actor. The high-profile jobs that just look like they're all about having fun, there's a lot more that comes into play when you have to do that. For me, streaming has become my outlet as much as video games have. It gives me an excuse to vent and to emote. I am a very emotional person. I love public presentation, and I don't get as much of an opportunity to do that in the real world because, unfortunately, for some strange reason, I can't be a public presenter as my job. And most of the time when I'm interacting with people, I tend to defer to them because my job and my disposition is not very me-centric. And say whatever you will in regards to self-worth and all those things. That's not what I'm talking about here. But regardless of that, it's the idea that I don't get, or I don't choose, depending on how you want to look at it, to put myself, the all of myself, out there all the time because it's not necessarily the time and place for it. And so I kind of defer those emotions and I don't express them to that extreme because I'm busy focused on other people in real life. It's their things that I'm worrying about. I'm helping them with their issues. I'm thinking about what they're talking about so that I can best help them with what they are doing. This is the life of someone who works with the community and with social work.
Yeah, which I think is probably my issue with streaming, because I was the kind of the opposite. I was constantly trying to basically, and I guess to sum it up, be a person that I'm not.
Mm.
And I was trying to help other people. Like people would come into the streams and talk about their issues, and I would try to, oh, well, let's talk about it and try to help them.
Yeah.
And it does get overwhelming after a while. And I also know I was turning into somebody I didn't like. I didn't, just like I said, I was obsessed with the numbers because I was trying to get as much people as I could. And it started turning me into somebody that I didn't enjoy. Because I'm more of a person that, I'm a fairly calm person. I want to try to, make friends. At the same time, I like to just, like I said, turn off my brain and just bleh when I play video games. But I was constantly using my brain every single stream to the point where I was getting burnout quite often. And don't get me wrong, I do miss some of it because there was some amazing people who came into my stream that I just loved and adored. At the same time, it was draining. It was so draining.
Meanwhile, my brain refuses to shut up.
I get that too.
my brain will not shut up. Doesn't matter if I want it to or not. And so to be able to provide an outlet where I can direct those thoughts in a way that I find enjoyable. That's why I love lore diving. I'm just discovering how much I love story crafting. As I'm starting this Tears of the Kingdom thread, Monday, by the way. Shameless plug. I mean, I already started it on Thursday, but Monday is usually my Zelda day. Anywho, the idea of there are some things about Tears of the Kingdom story that I am not kosher with, the way that it's set up, for example. Completely different topic, we won't get into it right now. And so I can't help but think of, well, how would I tweak things? Because there's so much in Tears of the Kingdom that is perfect. And I wouldn't change the content, but how it plays out, how it would be better presented. And it's just all these things that you talk about. And it's a great way to keep myself engaged as I am doing this work. And so as I was going about with adventure mode, the fact that I was streaming certainly kept the idea that I was presenting, which makes me feel a little bit more like, okay, I got to do this in a way, not just because I want to do it, but I want to do it in a way that is more than just, okay, there's that one done. Let's go to this one. Okay, go to this one. That's not fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so as we kept going, as we found more things to enjoy and discover, I started learning things about the game that I had no idea existed. Movesets and the way characters functioned. Medley is probably the biggest example of this. Medley has a whole subset of moves that she can use while she's in the air because she's a Rito and she flies. I had no idea that she could do any of that until I was about 90% of the way done, because I was trying to finish all of these boss challenges, and if you do not know the optimum way to get some of these characters to behave, those challenge mode runs are a mess.
Agatha.
Agatha actually is a boss buster.
She's kind of broken.
I stink with Agatha.
Agatha is a boss buster. The thing with Agatha is that you need to time her right, and she basically only has one or two combos that are particularly effective.
Well, I think I'm going to just have to practice with her because I stink with her. Like, all the other ones I'm okay with. Her, I stink. Like, I lost a lot of hearts.
I had the hardest time with Zant.
Zant is difficult sometimes.
Zant is very technical, and there's a bit of spacing involved with him that is necessary. And so there's both timing and spacing.
Who are y'all's number one favorite character to play in Hyrule Warriors? Which
Zelda.
moveset?
Zelda.
Right
Nice.
here.
Me?
Yep. I have probably leveled her up like all the way compared to
255.
everybody else. Yep.
I love the fact that it's
My
255.
number one character in moveset is Trident Ganondorf. I really enjoyed
Trident
I
Ganondorf
just,
is
honestly
fun.
just the imagery of having him with the trident just makes me very happy because I miss the trident. Really sad it didn't come back in Tears of the Kingdom, but we got a Naginata, so I'm happy. With
He used like all the different kinds of weapons.
it's
so
like
it kind of made sense.
yeah.
Though a trident would
I
have
like
been
the
good
theming.
for his lunging.
You know, like Japanese samurai Ganondorf is really, really cool.
Yeah.
Big fan of young
Yeah.
Link too. Young
Right.
Link in this game is really makes me very happy. Yeah.
Young Link is busted in this game.
Mhm.
As soon as you get his magic up to 3 bars, he's busted.
Oh, yeah.
If you fill up a special,
Yep.
fill up the magic, go.
I kind of wish
on
they incorporated the
everything.
masks or like the transformation masks specifically. I like that he does have Majora's Mask
Yeah.
representation.
Yeah, that would have.
But you know,
Yeah, instead of just having a sword. But I see why they did it, because the magic just basically improves your normal attack, so they had to do something that matches up
yeah.
Fierce Deity.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, that would have been really cool. Who else is on the top of my list? Twily Midna.
I love her.
Twily Midna
Oh,
is-
I love her so much.
I love it. All of the designs in here. Seriously, if you want peak character design, this is the game. End
Mhm.
story. If nothing else, I will fight anybody on these, except maybe Tingle, because Tingle is the stuff of nightmares. Dude, I had a person on my stream who absolutely adored when I played Tingle. I don't know if he was just being funny about it or if he actually liked Tingle.
I'm sure
He's from South America. I think
I enjoy Tingle
Argentina.
as like a concept within the Zelda like canon. Tingle himself, usually never a good person. Usually.
I like that they
Yeah.
treat him as a joke character, though. Because if you're paying
He
attention
basically
during
is.
his movesets, he
Oh,
is
yeah.
getting blown up as much as the enemies are. It's amazing.
Yeah.
He flies around in the air, and then smack! Literally, Tingle-shaped hole in the
Linkle.
ground.
Big fan of Linkle. I love Linkle. I need
I love
Linkle in
Linkle.
more
yes.
things.
Bring Linkle back!
I need Linkle in more things.
I
Hashtag
would love her.
Linkle. We need Linkle in all the things. She is adorable.
She
Yeah.
is.
It's directionally challenged angel.
We're on Hyrule Warriors and kind of related to streaming as well. My first experience with Age of Calamity was streaming, and that's kind of when I decided that I'm not going to stream games for my first playthroughs because I didn't get to experience it just like on my own. I didn't get to like sit with it. I still really enjoyed it. It didn't really hamper my enjoyment of the game, but I couldn't play it unless I was able to stream. So that kind of messed me up. But Connor, are you planning on 100%ing Age of Calamity?
Oh, I already did.
Oh, I feel like it's way easier to 100%.
Age of Calamity is so easy to 100%. I did it my first playthrough because it's really the way that they set it up in it is not just here's a whole separate thing with a bunch of stuff. It's we're in the middle of this war effort. Here, we're going to go over here so we can help gather supplies. We're going over here so we can train with this kind of weapon. And you just get the boosts and improvements along the way. It's really easy to 100%.
I really enjoy that structure. I mean, obviously, OG Hyrule Warriors, it's the fan service game, so it's you don't have to follow that sort of structure. It's way more like broader. Is broader even a word? Yeah.
Yeah, broader is a word.
It's way
More
broader
broad
in scope.
Yeah, that's a word.
More broad. Yeah, it's more broad in its scope, so it's able to do a whole lot more things. Age of Calamity is way more of a concise, streamlined experience, so it's able to get away with that kind of progression. Big fan of that.
If they do not have time travel in Age of Imprisonment, I am going to be very surprised.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I know we talked about this when we were talking about it when it first came out, but they've already given away the plot. I would be amazed if they actually tell the tried and true story from beginning to end with everyone dead and Zelda making her sacrifice.
Yeah, I both want to have time travel because I want Link to be in the game, but also it's like a give and take kind of thing. There's so many things I want to happen that realistically can't happen at the same time. So it's gonna be weird.
We'll have fun,
But
regardless.
I'm mainly just looking forward to seeing more of that version of Hyrule as it was. We've already seen the Hyrule castle town as it was on the Great Plateau from the trailer. We got to see like that version of Hyrule Castle on the Great Plateau, the castle town, all that kind of stuff. I just want to see like what was going on over in with the Zoras. What did their civilization look like at the time? What did the Rito look like at the time? Like that kind of stuff.
Let's say there is certainly a whole lot of world building that is ripe for them to work with. So if they do want to tell a straight story, they have a great deal to work with. It's not like with Age of Calamity where there's only 100 years, so there's nothing to build out here, so let's ham it up. So who knows? Maybe they will. Maybe they will surprise me.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see. I'm right there with you. I hope they kind of do a little bit of time travel, but that's just me.
If
I
you're
like
not
my
traveling
tradition.
through time in Zelda, something is very different. I mean, there's another feature article.
Something's wrong.
How The Legend of Zelda completely destroys the time-space continuum. This is why the timeline is ridiculous. But
I love the timeline.
speaking of which,
course,
I'm not going to give all the details here for those who might still be going out, but if you listen to the Zelda notes, first off, the Zelda notes are great. I've already loved the ones that I've listened to already. But I found one that has some interesting implications that I'll share with you as soon as we're done here. And on that little bit of a teaser, I hope all of you had a wonderful time listening to us here, talking about a new system, an old game, several old games, and looking forward to games coming down the line. And Hayden, thanks to both of you for joining me here today.
Very much. Awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be able to be a part of this community and Zelda Universe. I enjoy it. This is my, I guess you could say, outlet to basically feel like I'm a part of something.
I don't have a lot of people to talk to about
Wonderful
Zelda
community.
and golden cats, so it's always a pleasure to get it out of my system.
And thanks to all of you for joining us. We hope to see you next time on the Zelda Universe Podcast.